The cage wasn't made of metal, not anymore. It was made of light, thin bars of shimmering plasma that pulsed faintly with the rhythm of her breath. Every time she inhaled, the field flickered blue. Every time she exhaled, it dimmed to violet. The custodians had designed it that way, to remind their prisoners that even their life force was monitored. Kira had stopped counting the days long ago. Days didn't mean much on Voron 9, where the twin suns never set. Time stretched endlessly, a single white horizon over the glass plains. Her cell was suspended above the surface on a spire of black alloy, like a trophy displayed for the world below. The air smelled faintly of ozone and ash. The only sound was the hum of containment fields and the soft whisper of her own memories. She had been a commander once, Fleet Division 9 of the Orion Vanguard, the first human to ever cross the Halo Rift and survive. Now she was just prisoner number 2451, the last surviving human in the custodian system. They hadn't killed her because they wanted to study her. They said humans fascinated them, creatures of flesh, passion, and rebellion. They admired the species' ability to destroy itself and still fight for something intangible called hope. She used to laugh when she heard them say that. She didn't laugh anymore. Part 1: The Cage. Sometimes the custodian scientists, tall, insect-like beings of silver carapace and golden eyes, would visit her. They never spoke in words, only in telepathic images that made her skull ache. They showed her scenes of her own battles, the burning city of Arctura, the explosion that swallowed her ship Vanguard's Pride, the moment she'd activated the self-destruct. They looped those memories endlessly, as though dissecting her courage. "Why did you resist?" their collective mind would ask. "Because we were alive," she always answered. The plasma bars crackled each time she defied them. Sometimes the field would tighten, squeezing the air from her lungs until she nearly passed out. They never let her die. Death was too merciful for what they wanted. Years or centuries passed that way. She learned to meditate through pain, to let her consciousness drift beyond the confines of the cage. In those lucid dreams, she walked through Earth's forests again. She remembered the scent of rain, the texture of real wind. But even in her dreams, the cage followed her like a shadow. Part 2: The Signal. It was on the 9,000th rotation by her guess that something changed. A faint vibration echoed through the tower. The custodians froze, their antennae twitching in alarm. Kira sat upright, her muscles taut. She hadn't felt anything like that in decades. Then came the signal, a low-frequency pulse that slipped through the containment fields like a whisper through silk. It was human. The modulation pattern was unmistakable. The old Federation distress code, buried beneath layers of interference. Her heart thudded painfully. Could it be possible? The human fleet had been annihilated before the custodians' expansion centuries ago. No ships, no colonies remained. Yet the signal repeated. Faint, broken, but undeniably real. For the first time in ages, the custodians looked uncertain. Their golden eyes dimmed, and they spoke among themselves in vibrations that shook the spire. That night, if night could even exist beneath twin suns, Kira heard the explosion. A sonic boom, distant but powerful, rippled across the plains. The alarms screamed in multiple languages. Energy cannons ignited the sky in arcs of blue flame. Something or someone was attacking Voron 9. Part 3: The Human Warrior. The first thing she saw through the translucent wall was fire streaking across the atmosphere like burning stars. Then came the ships, small, angular, unmistakably human in design. They moved like predators, cutting through the custodians' defenses with surgical precision. Her pulse hammered. Her throat went dry. She pressed her hands against the plasma wall, staring in disbelief. One ship broke formation, diving toward her spire. The custodians opened fire, plasma lances scorching the air. The small ship dodged, engines roaring, and smashed into the tower's docking bay. The shockwave shattered half the containment nodes. Kira's cell flickered violently. Smoke filled the air. Custodian guards swarmed in, their metallic limbs clicking. Then through the chaos he appeared. A man in battered exo-armor stepped through the flames, his helmet reflecting the plasma light. His insignia bore the faded emblem of the Orion Vanguard. He was human. He looked right at her, and for a moment she forgot how to breathe. Kira Thane. His voice cut through the distortion. Commander Thane. He stared. Her throat felt raw from disuse. Who are you? Captain Eric Dorn, Vanguard Rescue Corps. We picked up your biosignature from deep space telemetry. He raised a pulse rifle, firing at the control node. I'm getting you out. The bars disintegrated in a burst of light. For the first time in uncounted years, she stepped forward and felt nothing restrain her. The weight of freedom hit her harder than gravity. Her knees buckled, but he caught her, supporting her with a strength that felt achingly familiar. How is this possible? She managed. He smiled beneath the cracked visor. Humanity's not gone. We just learned to hide better. Part 4. Escape from Voron 9. They moved quickly through the burning corridors of the tower. Eric's suit projected holographic maps ahead of them. The custodians' defense drones swarmed the hallways like metallic locusts, firing beams that melted walls. Kira grabbed a fallen blaster from a dead guard. The weapon felt cold and heavy, but natural in her hands. Her body remembered what her mind had tried to forget. Each shot she fired struck true, plasma bolts tearing through the air. Still a good shot, Eric said, impressed. Still a soldier, she answered grimly. They reached the hangar where Eric's ship, the Resolute, waited, engines whining under strain. The custodians' dreadnoughts filled the sky above, their vast silhouettes blotting out the suns. As they took off, Kira glanced down at the tower that had been her world. It was collapsing, swallowed by molten debris. She expected to feel joy, but what she felt instead was emptiness. Freedom after so long felt like stepping into a void. The ship shook violently as enemy fire grazed the hull. Hold on, Eric shouted. The Resolute dove into the lower atmosphere, skimming the surface of the plains. A custodian cruiser locked onto them, firing continuous beams of ionized plasma. Kira slid into the gunner's chair. The interface recognized her neural imprint instantly, syncing with her reflexes. Let me handle this. The cannons roared to life. Beams of orange light ripped through the enemy cruiser's shields. The explosion lit up the horizon. Eric whooped, and for a moment she smiled. A real human smile she hadn't felt in centuries. Part 5. The truth. When they finally escaped Voron 9's gravity well, the stars unfolded before them like an old song she'd forgotten the words to. But something nagged at her. The ease of the rescue, a signal, timing, didn't add up. Eric, she said quietly, how did you really find me? He hesitated. We intercepted custodian archives. You were classified as Specimen Alpha, the first human to survive neural dissection. They said your mind contained something. She frowned. What are you saying? You weren't just studied, Kira. They rebuilt you. You're not exactly human anymore. Her blood ran cold. What? The scans show synthetic neural grafts in your cerebral cortex. Nanite integration on a scale I've never seen. Whatever they did, they turned you into a living database. She shook her head, clutching her temples. Memories flickered. Images of experiments, lights, voices whispering in languages beyond comprehension. She remembered screaming, then silence. "So what am I now?" she whispered. He looked at her with something like pity. "You're both. Human and machine. The custodians tried to erase you, but they failed. You're proof that humanity can evolve beyond what they fear." Part 6. The last battle, the Resolute didn't get far. A custodian dreadnought appeared from hyperspace, its massive form blotting out the stars. Eric slammed the console. "They followed us." The ship rocked under heavy fire. Systems overloaded. Flames licked through the control room. "Set a course for the rift," Kira said. "That's suicide." "So is stopping." He hesitated, then nodded. "All right. One last jump." As they neared the rift's gravitational boundary, Kira accessed the custodian implants embedded in her mind. She could feel their data. Billions of consciousnesses interlinked, calculating, watching. She realized she could hear them. And she spoke to them, not with words but with thought. "You made me your prisoner. You studied me. You feared what I represented. Now you'll understand why." The dreadnought's shields flickered. Its weapon systems failed. Kira's mind reached into their network, turning their own systems against them. The sky erupted as the custodian armada imploded, collapsing under its own power. Eric stared at her in awe. "You just shut down a fleet." She closed her eyes. "I didn't shut them down. I woke them up. I showed them what freedom means." The Resolute entered the rift. Light swallowed them whole. Part 7. After the light, when consciousness returned, there was silence. The stars outside were unfamiliar. No twin suns. No custodian signals. Just open space and the blue shimmer of a distant planet. "Where are we?" Eric asked. Kira looked out, her eyes reflecting the endless horizon. "Home," she said softly. "Or something like it." He smiled. "What now?" She turned to him, a faint spark of humor in her gaze. "Now we rebuild. Humanity doesn't end in cages." He reached for her hand. For a long moment they just sat there, two survivors of two extinct worlds, watching the dawn rise over an untouched world. For the first time in centuries, Kira didn't feel like a prisoner. She felt alive. The cage was gone. And the stars, infinite and bright, no longer looked like walls.